Hey guys, welcome back to Hooks Nation. Today, I'm going to show you how to install a throttle extension onto a player's wedge snow machine. Okay, I just opened up the package and I set everything inside of it on the table. Inside the package you will find a piece of paper, this right here, and it will tell you the tools required for you to install it and the hardware included. Here on the table, I have the tools required for the job. A pair of pliers, a number 1 Phillips screwdriver, an 8mm wrench, and a 10mm wrench. After you install a riser on most snow machines, or pivot, your throttle cable might get too stretched out. As you can see this one here, way too stretched. So I'm going to have to install a throttle extension so that it will work properly. In order to install your new throttle extension, you'll have to remove the old throttle cable out of your throttle body. There will be a small retaining clip holding the throttle cable to the throttle block. You'll have to remove that with a small flathead screwdriver, as I'm holding here. And once that's out, your throttle cable can now pull out. Once you have removed the small retaining clip, you can now remove your throttle cable end from your throttle. First, open up your throttle. Grab your throttle cable up towards the throttle block with a pair of needle nose pliers. Let your throttle fall back into the closed position. You can see the piece now will be hanging here. You can push it ahead with your flathead screwdriver, small. Hold it ahead. It'll come out of this groove in there and let go with your needle nose pliers. That will make your throttle cable go back inward, and now you have successfully removed it from your throttle. As you can see, your throttle cable is now free. In order to fully remove it out of the throttle block, you will have to grab the end of your throttle cable with a pair of needle nose pliers, pull it out. That'll be open up your throttle, and put it down into the slot down here. As you can see, it's cut into the throttle block, and pull back on your full throttle cable, and it will slide like that right out, as you can see here. So now your throttle cable can fully come out the back. Like that right there. Now your throttle cable is free and you're ready to install your new throttle extension. Now, to start installing your throttle extension onto your old throttle cable, you'll take your old throttle cable, as I am holding here, take one of the small retaining clips that come with your throttle extension package, and you'll clip it on to the original spot where your original retaining clip, when it's up on the throttle block, will sit. There's a grooved area, and you just clip it onto there easily. When it snaps, you know it's on there good, and as you can see, it is sitting right in this groove. You will now take one of your junction box halves, as you can see here. It says Power Mad on it. Lay it down flat. Take your junction slide and put the flat rectangle end towards your old throttle cable. Set it in there, it will slide in there nice. Now take your old throttle cable with the clip attached and set it in there. It'll set into the new slide and it'll sit in there just like this. As you can see there, now it will feel snug. The clip, the retaining clip, will sit inside the rectangle part and it will hold it all together just like this. But it will fall apart if you let go, so hold on for the next step. You can now take your new throttle cable, this is the top side, and the ball end. This is the part that will go inside your junction box, and grab a retaining clip, a small retaining clip. They look like little C's, and you can see there's a groove on the, here's a shaft right here, this is going inside, it's part of the cable, and there's a groove, and you'll put your retaining clip into that groove. You know it's in there when you can hear it click. Now that you know how the throttle cable goes into the throttle junction box here on this side and onto the slide, you can take your low temp grease given to you in with your throttle extension kit and lube it all up on the inside here. Make sure that you got it good, because this will ensure proper throttle slide and stuff. Slide your slide around a little bit, wipe your finger, do whatever you want. That'll make it all nice and lubed up. Now you can take your greased up junction box half with your greased up slide and take it and put your old throttle cable end into how I showed you before, into this side. Now take your new throttle cable end, the ball side, with the retaining clip, set it inside there like that on the slide. This is the ball end. It will not work the other way around. Set it in there, put it in the other side like I showed you with the retaining clip on this side, inside there. Now you can take your junction box other half and set it on top, and it will hold all these pieces together. If you are having a hard time figuring out why your junction box halves will not go together, I'll show you here. There's a big hole that is just non-threaded, large. The screw will go in this hole from the back side. Then there are a threaded smaller hole, and the screw will go into this hole, but it will have to go through the other half, through this hole from this side, and it will come down into the threaded hole. It can only go one way, and that's how. Now that you have your throttle junction box put together, it should be seamless all the way around, nice tight fit. If it's not, if it's kind of split at one end, that means you improperly put the ends in and the retaining clips are holding it open. You put the box together properly like I showed you, no thread to thread. You can now take 2 screws, because each side can only have 2 screws going at once, and drop them in to the non-threaded holes, and they'll sit there like that. You can now take your number 1 Phillips head screwdriver and tighten them down, but they do not have to be too tight, just a little bit tight, because if you strip them out, it's plastic and you can't do anything about it. To make sure that you properly installed your throttle extension, after you've done all the screws up tight, and you can slide down the plastic rubber piece on top of it, that will show you that you're done. You can now pull on it to open and close your throttle, and as you can see, mine's moving freely, so that means that I've done it correctly and put it all together like I said. If yours does not work freely, it should be just as easy as it was before you installed this throttle extension. If it does not move freely, that means that you've improperly done something. So go back and watch how I do it, or open it up and see what you've done wrong. Now that you have successfully put your throttle extension onto your throttle cable, you are ready to install it back onto the throttle block. You can do this by setting your new throttle cable end right here on this part, holding it down with one finger and pulling like that, making it extend. So put it there, sideways, hold it with one finger, pull down, making your throttle extend. Now when you're back behind, you can pull up, making your throttle cable go into that slot there that I showed you before. So now it went through there into the back, and there's a hole for the outside throttle cable to slide into, and you'll just pop into there. It'll pop out and lock in place. Now you can put that retaining clip on back onto there, and you can put your new throttle cable right here onto your throttle. Now that you have properly reinstalled your retaining clip onto the outer part of the throttle down there, you can now work on taking your throttle cable inner piece right here and putting it back into that groove on your throttle. The best way I can find to do this is to grab this piece right here, the part that moves, with a pair of needle nose pliers, like so. Grab onto it and pull it out. Now you can kink it off to the side, holding it with your finger, and that will prevent it from going back in, and then re-grab it down lower so that it will hold itself out. Don't squeeze too tight with your pliers because you don't want to fray your new cable. And as you can see, now it's out and it'll just be hanging there. Now you can put it back behind the throttle and move your throttle ahead. Now push it against the throttle piece and you can pull out. Let go with your pliers and let go of the throttle. Make sure it's in there. Let go of the throttle. There. Now it's all together. As you can see, now my throttle moves, and that means that everything's perfect. If you find that after you have installed your throttle extension that your throttle has too much play before it engages to pull the slides up and down on the carbs or whatever happens on your fuel injection motors, you can tighten this cable. This cable right here, this spot, it controls how tight the cable is on your throttle. It's just like the ones on top of your carbs and stuff. So when you back it off, spreading it apart, that will make your cable tighter so there will be less play. And when you put it together, that will give you more play. So on this throttle, I find that I don't need to adjust it at all. So I'm going to put it all the way back up, tight together. That's the amount of play that I want. But if you have too much play, you can back it off until you think it's proper, and then you can take your 8mm wrench, hold on to the smaller bottom piece right here, and your 10mm wrench when you have put it to your desired area, 10mm wrench, and lock this and this together, 10mm, 8mm, and that will prevent it from moving at all. So then you now have your desired amount of play. After you have installed your PowerMad throttle extension, you might find that it's too long or in an awkward place. So inside the package with the throttle extension, they will give you 4 twist ties. So you can wrap those around wherever you want to hold the throttle extension in the place that you want. So I hooked one here and here. These places will not move or bend the throttle cable or wear on it, and that's where I want it. Oh yeah, she's good. Thanks for watching my video on Polaris Sled throttle extension installation. Like and subscribe for more. Hooks. Oh yeah.